Hello everyone, welcome to Trade and happy Independence Day to all the traders. Since it's Independence Day, I'm just putting out a slightly different video than regular Nifty Bank Nifty analysis. I just want to put out a video how to do intraday scalping in futures and options using support resistance, the price action and CPR. I'll be explaining everything: support resistance, how to draw, how to find it on the charts, the different price action which is relevant for intraday, and the CPR levels. What is CPR and how do we use it? There is a detailed video on trading on support and resistance in my channel. I'll be putting that link in the description. The channel is this, the video is this: how to trade based on trend line, support and resistance. Please go have a check on that as well. You'll get a lot of information there. So firstly, how to draw support and resistance, I'll be showing it to you on the charts. How to add the CPR and how to trade will also be shown. And price action, I'll be explaining that. Now coming to CPR, what is CPR? CPR is nothing but central pivot range, which is a derivative of previous price action. The CPR levels are calculated by a formula based on previous day's highs and low. Okay. And what is the formula? You can find it on Google. It's just a simple formula. Based on previous day high and low, you get the CPR values and it will look something like this. What I pasted over here, this diagram, where you have a CPR level and the central line is called the pivot. Then you have resistance R1, R2, R3, resistance 3, resistance 2, resistance 1, and below you have support 1, support 2, support 3. In some of the indicators, the R1, R2 is not marked, but we can know it easily. On the top side, it's R1, R2, R3. On the bottom end, it is S1, S2, S3. Now, how to add the CPR is on your chart, on your blank chart at any different time frame. See, for intraday, we use only 5 minutes or 15 minutes. For positional trading, you can use 1 hour and daily. So just come to this indicator page. I'm using the trading view terminal. Just come to the indicators over here, type in CPR. You'll get many CPR. These are all nothing but written by different people. Different people have written a code in trading view. If somebody is good with coding, they can write their own CPR levels. But I'm using this King Research CPR with pivot level, which is pretty good. So coming to this, before I explain the strategy, how to trade futures and options through CPR and support with support and price action, there's certain rules to follow in this strategy. This strategy is nothing big that I have not designed. The strategy, I have not come up with it. It's there, trading based on CPR for a very long time. It's just that I'm using it and I'm sharing it on my YouTube channel so that everybody can benefit. That's it. It's not a strategy that I have put in together. It's there from quite some time. See, the first rule is take entry and exit only at support and resistance and CPR levels. I'll be explaining this on the charts when we get to the charts. The second one is decide stop loss before entering a trade and stick to it. What that is before entering a trade, you'll have to select a stop loss, decide a stop loss and stick to it. In case your price action comes to your stop loss, you have to take it and do not compromise on that. I'll be showing this on the charts as well. And for options scalping, it's always best to exit at the nearest target. I will show you what this rule also means. Now, coming to the first rule, take entry only and exit only at support, resistance or CPR levels is, now say assume take a green marker. Say the price from the pivot, it's going up and suddenly takes resistance at R2. So in case you want to short, you will short at this R2 level and the price is coming down. The first target will be R1 and the second target will be the pivot. In case the pivot breaks, it will be S1, S2. See, just in case you miss shorting at R2, do not enter somewhere in between. So always take entries at the reversal point, that is our resistance 1 or resistance 2 or resistance 3. I'll be explaining more in charts, but I just wanted to let you know about this rule before we go on to the charts. Do not enter anywhere in between unless there is some major support or resistance. Okay, and decide the stop loss. In case you short the market at R1, you decide to buy a put, or in futures you decide to sell at R1, keeping the target as CPR. In that case, your stop loss will be R1. So in case the price comes back and goes above R1, you will have to take stop loss. Do not wait thinking it might come down further. And the same thing on the buying side. Now say a market falls intraday and suddenly takes support at S3. Okay, you get a rejection candle like a wick and the market starts reversing. So here is where you can go long, like buy options, buy call, or buy futures, whatever, 1 lot, 2 lot, whatever lots you're trading with, and keep support 2 as target, support 1 as target, and CPR as target. Okay, this is just the basic rule that I wanted to explain before going into the charts. One is always take entry, exit at support, resistance, and CPR levels. Decide stop loss before entering a trade and stick to it. For option scalping, always exit at the nearest target. Now what we'll do is get into the charts. As I previously showed you how to add CPR, I've already added this CPR level and kept, and I always stay on 5-minute charts on intraday. Now the first example that I'm taking is Friday. You can see the date here, it's 13th August. This was the Friday trade. Let me just analyze and show you where were the possibilities based on the strategy that I'm talking about, CPR. The first short trade was, see, the market opened here 9:15, the market went up, it broke R1, went up. If somebody had entered here, definitely R2 was their first target, they could have exited here. If not, we got a beautiful entry to short at, let me just expand the screen so that the price action is clear. We got a beautiful short signal over here. See, this is, I've put the CPR, this dotted lines you see here, the brown, purple and brown, right? Yellow, purple, and this is the CPR. This red dot is the R1, the above that is R2, and R3 is over here. So exactly at R2 we got this rejection. So over here you can buy puts, in the money puts, P, that is, say here the price was 36,175. You can buy 36,200 put, or don't go way out of the money and buy 36,000 put. Okay, it won't work out sometimes in the scalping. So go in the money always, and if you had short, or in futures you could have shorted here, just do future sell over here, and the immediate target was this R1. Or if you had waited, the next target, see, the price from R2, it will come to R1. It might reverse from R1 or go and hit the CPR range, but in this case it touched exactly R2. You could have exited here and the price was reversing. Okay, now say for some reason you missed the shot, you are not able to get it. Okay, the market went up and again we got a sell signal over here. Okay, why a sell signal over here is, over here we are taking an entry not based on the CPR level but the support and resistance, like the resistance. See, we made a low, we made a high, so we mark one resistance here. We got another dip. Okay, we got another dip and came up and tested this exact same level. Let me put this resistance line in black for understanding. At this exact same level, after forming a double top, we took resistance here. So this was a good short where you could have sold futures or bought puts here, and your immediate target was R1 and the CPR. Next target is CPR. But what happened in this case is we got a good entry. It came down, tested R1, okay, and went up, got a small rise. We could have either exited here or the CPR, but in this case it didn't touch CPR. Why? Because we have a previous very good support here. See, that's why this strategy is also mentioned as support, resistance, price action and CPR. First is you short here, you exit at R1. Second is based on price action and this double top taking resistance at this level. Second time you got a bearish price action. See, and at this point, right, at the CPR point or resist, you need to get a bearish price action. Like here, it's an inverted hammer, which is a bearish price action. Over here, it's like an engulfing candle where this candle is being completely engulfed by this candle. If you actually zoom in and see, this is more like a engulfing candle. Yeah. So this was a bearish price action. So we shorted here and first target was R2. And in this case, yes, we did wait to reach until CPR, but you see this price action over here. Over here, we have taken support so many times. Let me just zoom this out. We have taken support here, resistance here, and here. So it was very likely that the price will take support here. So immediately when this wick was formed, after this huge red candle, this wick was being formed, you could have exited here because this price action is rejecting going down. So it beautifully hit this target and went up. In case somebody missed this short or whatever, you have taken one entry, second entry. Now you want to try a long entry. Since Nifty was very bullish on Friday, hoping even Bank Nifty will become bullish. If you wanted to go long, this candle was a very good entry. We came at a very good support and started reversing. The first target would have been R1 and second target R2. Everything hit beautifully. I'll be showing you other examples on other days where the target reversed from R1, reversing from R2, and how we can find the targets easily. And the other, before we proceed, let me just hide this price action. The other important point over here is, see, or on this day, the resistance 1, support 1, CPR was pretty close by. So it was easy to trade with the targets. On a day like this, where you have the R1 and S1 very far away, how do you find targets? What if the price comes here, it goes up but not all the way until R1, before going all the way until R1 it reverses? So how do you exit on such trades? For that also we have a setup where if the CPR level and the R1 is way too wide and S1 is way too wide, you can keep a target of 50% of the distance between the CPR and R1, and the same over here. How do you find 50%? It's just plain half of this, R1, R2, half of this. To get the exact value, you can make use of Fibonacci retracement. Just place this, and exactly at 50% you can expect the price to come and take resistance. Okay, so let's see some more examples. See, Thursday is one classic example where it was a pretty much sideways day. It was very much in the CPR. In days like this, based on this CPR strategy and price action, we won't get any buy trade for option buying. For option buying, we won't get any trade on a trade like this, on a day like this. This is purely for option selling, where you sell options. Sorry for my handwriting. Let me delete all this. So in this type of price action, you can never buy options. Okay, the only thing that you can do in this type of sideways market is option selling, where they would have profited a lot, especially on expiry day. So how do we know, like, when the market is opened over here, we don't know whether it's going to be a sideways day or a trendy day, right? You see, throughout the day, we haven't left the CPR range. We are very much within this CPR range. So this shows the market is in a sideways consolidated range. Okay, but even on this day, there was an entry, very good entry. See, we would have got initial days, in the starting days, if you're a beginner, you would have got very confused using the CPR. We would have entered here because it's rejecting this pivot. We would have entered here because it's rejecting the pivot. The best entry over here was on over here in this price action, where we rejected the pivot and went up almost 200 points. We could have taken a bet over here at about 230, would have given some good profit. And the opening trade itself, the moment it went up, you could have shorted at this point and booked profits over here. So this was a very bad day to buy options. There was only one chance in the end. So days like this, you can avoid buying options if your capital is small. If your capital is big, you can definitely go and sell options. How do you sell options? See, this is way too huge, 36,100. The premium would be only 20 bucks by 12 o'clock. So there's no point. So take the day's high range and take the day's low range and sell these options. You would have made a lot of money. By 3 o'clock, the premiums would have been somewhere, the next out of the money would have been like 20-15 rupees, and you would have made money. So days like this, where the price is consolidating very close to the CPR, is a no buying day for options. It's only a selling day. Now let's see another example where we could have bought options. See, on this day, a lot of people whom I teach this strategy made very good money. Why? We got beautiful sell signal here. See, the market opened. Okay, we got a bearish price action. We went up, and I'm part of many WhatsApp groups and many of this trading group where a lot of them bought calls over here thinking the market is going to go up. But we waited. We want a rejection at a CPR level, either R1 pivot or S1, S2, R1, R2. Any of these levels we need to enter. We don't enter anywhere in between. Or we need a major support and a resistance. So we waited. The moment the market broke this pivot and retested over here, let me mark everything so it's very clear. The moment we broke this pivot and retested over here, okay, we shorted. We bought 36,000 put and we held the put and booked some profits here. Okay, we carried, like, say I shorted about 10 lots, sorry, 8 lots, 200 quantity. I booked almost 6 lots profits here, and the way we fell, I was kind of expecting we would go further down. This is support 1. Now the next target is support 2. So since I didn't want to lose, in case we start reversing from here, right? So I didn't want to lose majority of the profit. So I booked half of my profits here, and again when this price action retested this support 1, again we shorted over here and booked all our profits over here. And we did get a good buy opportunity over here also, but we didn't go on the buy side. We just kept shorting and made good money on this day. For now, what I'll do is I'll just shift to a 15 minutes time frame, just to kind of give you a gist of the CPR levels, how it is. Okay, see, now I've just zoomed out to see the trade from 4th August until 13th August. See how many times the price has taken support or resistance at the CPR levels and moved. From here, this is R1, the CPR for this day is here. From here, it took a rejection, went R1, R2 and closed here. This was a sideways day. See, the price was within the CPR range, wide CPR. Okay, it was a sideways day. On this day, see, the price went, tested R1, came down and stayed within the CPR range. Okay, so I just wanted to show you how the CPR price action looks. I'll just shift back to 5 minutes. And so by now, hope everybody who is watching have an idea of how to trade on the CPR levels. And another logic, like these are set of rules, another rule or a logic is, if the CPR is this central pivot range, these three lines, the yellow line, the purple line, and the below purple line. If the CPR is wide, okay, the three CPR lines, if it is wide, most likely the market will be sideways. Okay, this is a general rule which is there for CPR. Any CPR book, any video you watch, this is what will be told to you. If the CPR is narrow, the three lines are very narrow, it will most likely be a trending day on the upside or downside, or it can even do both, go up and come down. It can do both. We'll see that on the charts. See, this was a wide CPR where the yellow, purple, and the yellow is pretty wide, and we pretty much remained sideways. But there was a good trade even over here based on our strategy. That is, we enter at a pivot point, right? Pivot point or resistance or support. At this pivot point, based on this candle, we went long, and the target, as I told you, if R1 is too far away from pivot, keep 50% as the target. Exactly when 50% hit over here, we booked our profits. This was a good move, and again we shorted over here and kept the below the top pivot as the target and booked profits. Again we shorted here and booked profits here. See, you can do back testing on this. Everywhere you will see, whichever day you see, you will find the price taking support at pivot at some point or the other, pivot or the R1, R2 and S2. If it does not, like I'm going to go back to Thursday, if it has not touched the pivot point, it will be consolidated sideways in the CPR range itself. The another beautiful example of CPR I want to show you is on this day, August 10th, and this is the bank nifty chart. You can go and do back testing. See, on this day we went up. Okay, if somebody had entered here, they could have exited here, but these morning trades are slightly difficult to catch for scalping. If you are like a if you are a future trader, yeah, you can enter here based on this candle and exit over here. If you are an options trader, it's little difficult to catch, because as soon as the price opens, the option premiums would be spiked up a lot. So we wait until 9:30, 9:50, at least the first 15 minutes candle to form, and then take a trade. That's the best way to go about in options. So if somebody had entered here, this was the perfect target. You could have exited here, and throughout the day it remained at R1 range. See, R1 is this dotted line. Throughout the day it remained in this R1 range, and we got a sell signal over here. We shorted, we bought 36,300 puts here, and the first target was the pivot, and also we had marked the 50% target just in case we reverse from 50%, right? So we had marked this. See, when this candle over here, it would have been a solid green candle, right? So we were in a doubtful mind whether to book profits or wait, but immediately this formed a wick, rejecting on the downside. So we stayed in the trade and exited over here, right at the pivot. See, we shorted at R1, exited at pivot. In case this pivot had broken, we would have waited for S1 or 50% of S1. Okay, and you can always put this on the chart and do some back testing. You will find beautiful results. Let's go way back, not the recent charts. Let's just randomly pick up some CPR level. See, these days when at about June 4th or something, the market kept coming down, right? See, even those days, I'm doing back testing somewhere in June 8th now. See, on a day like this where we fell so much, we came from a CPR point itself. From the, see how narrow the CPR is. That's why I told, if CPR is narrow, see here it is so narrow you can't even see the, that's how it's calculated, so narrow you can't even see the middle point is so minimized, right? So when it is so narrow, it will be a trending day. See the fall that we got, we even broke S3. See, usually on a normal day the target will be S1, S2 or R1, R2. R3 and S3 is broken only on slightly, not on a daily basis, on a very rarely basis, right? See, this CPR is wide and how we stayed within this range. Here the CPR, this is a classic example. CPR is narrow, we had a trending day downside. Here the CPR is wide, we were sideways. And even the sideways, we could have traded beautifully on CPR. That is, go long here, exit here, short here, exit here. That's the kind of scalping we do. See, there's still a lot more things in CPR like previous day high, previous day low, 50% and CPR relationship between previous day and today. Probably that's all will come out in another video. Now I'm just showing you some back testing, some examples with CPR. See, this was a beautiful day where you came, almost took support at R1, but yeah, if somebody had gone long here, I wouldn't have gone long here because I need a rejection. Like, you know what is a rejection? You need to have this kind of a wick where a candle is forming like an inverted hammer, this kind of a wick at the CPR level. Then I'll be comfortable to short. Here it was a good long, but I didn't get any confirmation, so I would not enter here. So you enter here and this is your first target. Second target also hit. It was a beautifully over here. The third target also hit. In case you didn't exit here, it again came back, but the moment this S2 hits, you have to exit. And the stop loss, coming to the stop loss would be over here. See, I shorted here, the price started moving down. Now my stop loss is R1. Okay, if any candle would have crossed R1, I would have exited, taken stop loss. The same thing over, let me show you a buy. Yeah, this is a good example for a buy. See, on this day the market opened at S1, we were in this range. Okay, say I would have definitely entered here, and since the price went up, came down, I would have taken stop loss here. This day I think I did that because I clearly remember a day like this where I entered based on the rejection, based on the rule, everything was fine. We got S1 rejection, entered, but our stop loss hit. We took a stop loss over here and again re-entered. So whatever we lost, about 2,500 or something, we recovered double of that over here. We again entered here. Over here, see, enter, and my stop loss is this S1. I'll mark it in black. It never came, it never crossed this line on the downside. The market just went up and hit the pivot. We exited our profits here. So these are the examples that you can see based on this, using CPR support resistance. And over here, when you zoom out and see the charts, everywhere you see, you get beautiful entries on CPR. And whenever you enter, just make sure the stop loss is the R1 or S1. Say for example over here, see, these kind of wicks are a gold mine for me. I would just go with 10 lots, 20 lots sometimes if I have capital in my trading account. How many wicks we got rejecting the R1? So definitely at this last wick I would have entered, and no candle crossed this R1. See, I'm marking this R1 in black. See, no candle crossed this. If you're a futures trader, you can even keep stop loss at high of this wick. Okay, in case any price that moves above this wick, you can exit your trade. For options, you can keep R1 itself as stop loss. If any candle crosses this R1, you'll have to exit the trade. So we shorted here, and obviously the pivot hit at the end of the day, but we didn't wait until so much. Since it was wide R1 and CPR, we booked the profits at 50%. So this is the strategy that I use for trading, nothing else. Nothing else is required. This works beautifully. So please go and backtest it, learn, and soon I'll be coming up with another video of in-depth, more knowledge on CPR and more trades that we can take. Before we close off, as it's right in front of our eyes, I just want to show you another classic example where we rejected S1 and hit R1. So this is how you can backtest and try and use this strategy with less quantity until you master it. So that's it for today. Please do subscribe to this channel, like my videos. I'll be coming up with more learning videos like this. Go and watch my previous learning videos as well. The link is in the description. And everyone have a happy Independence Day. Thank you.